We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning. Believe me, I agree. You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored. We are going to turn this country around. We are going to start winning big league.
Yes, winning bigly. There's part of me that goes, maybe a Trump presidency wouldn't be all that bad because all those made-up words that my kids come up with, maybe that'll be our language. Maybe we'll be making up new words every day. It will be hugely, amazingly, fabulously great. Oh, God help us. Big trouble on the horizon in my view. But I'm here to talk a little bit about the race as it is tightening up. And look, I know there are those who want to get into the Trump-Hillary thing. I'm still one holding out for the Bernie side. I've asked Bob Weiner, he is the president of Robert Weiner Associates, to come talk with us. Also, he was one of the spokespeople during the Clinton years back in the 90s. Bob, thanks for taking time for us.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. Today's news is astounding, Rick, in terms of the race tightening, where, for example, in Pennsylvania, Hillary's only up by 1, in Florida by 1, and Ohio down by 5 to this bigoted, misogynist babbler from his rear. It's amazing.
Yeah, but Bobby, he's talking like I do. He speaks my language.
He speaks big, and that's what people want. And, Rick, Biden is right. We have to be aspirational. I got it. Hillary's going to win the nomination. I'm pro-Hillary. I don't think we can win, to be honest, with and to have a better country with someone who really can't pay for what he's putting out there. But that's beside the point. Hillary has got to be aspirational. She's got to think big, and she's got to talk in a way that's going to turn kids on, or they're going to stay home and we're going to lose.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Bob, and look, I've had the Hillary people come in and give that same kind of frame. Oh, he's got these big ideas he can't pay for. Well, to have those big ideas, you figure out how to pay for it, because I don't remember a lot of people going, well, we can't pay for how to figure out how to build the bomb. We can't figure out how to pay for building an infrastructure. We can't figure out how to pay to get to the moon, for instance. But we did it, Bob. We had big ideas and big visions, and we figured it out. So to me, the idea is just as important as the way to get there.
Absolutely right. Since when, Biden asked, have we become the party that can't think big? And, Obama even made fun of it at the press dinner a week ago when he showed the cartoon of pushing the rock up the hill. That's not what we're supposed to be doing as a party. We're supposed to be at the top saying, here's how we got to get here.
Exactly. And, the thing is and I think, and I hope Hillary's people understand this. They're smart people like you, very smart folks, who hopefully get that this is not about issues. This is about narrative and vision. This is about rolling up the sleeves and going, you know what? In 20 years, we're going to do something amazing. That excites people.
That's right. And she's got to do better at that. She can't keep making the point that you're not being realistic because we can't do it. Since when did we become the party of can't? Remember, yes, we can. So that's the issue. The other thing, Rick, is just what Trump's doing is outrageous, but she's got to fight back on the woman thing and talking about Bill Clinton's sex life. This is a guy who's been married at least 3 times, maybe 4, and used 4 bankruptcies, and he included using the bankruptcies against his spouses to stop giving them money. It was in court.
Yeah.
A week before he went to court on his first wife. He said he's bankrupt, and then 3 days later he said we got tons of money. But in court he was saying how he didn't have the resources. He had bankruptcies. So this is a guy who totally abuses the law, and talk about somebody who abuses women. The point that Hillary's got to make is she's had a single marriage and a highly successful daughter, and they're still together. And you, Donald, how many marriages have you had?
Yeah, well, but here's the thing: he's a man.
Therefore, what?
That's how our society views it. I don't agree with it. You don't agree with it. But sadly, the people who would vote for someone like Trump, that's how they think.
No, I think they support their wives. I don't think that's a fair statement, even conceptually. Even the ones who cheat support their wives and at least think that they shouldn't cheat. You know?
Okay.
I just don't think that's true.
All right.
I actually, if she fought back, as the, saying, how she's been victimized, and yet she went forward. She became Secretary of State. She became a senator, Secretary of State, and she's had a whole career, which he tries to say is nothing but the woman's card, from legal aid to the Watergate Committee. She's had a whole career of fighting for people, and going to China and saying human rights are women's rights. She's done amazing things through her career. And then, it's because of her that Burma has a new party that really is on the verge of taking control, and the junta doesn't know what to do with Aung San Suu Kyi in Burma because of Hillary's work.
Yeah, nobody knows that, though,
She's
Bob.
done a lot. She's done
but
an enormous amount. I don't think she does a good enough job of getting the credit for it.
No.
She did a ceasefire in the Middle East. I mean, I did a piece on that of the unrecognized work that she did on her ceasefire. She negotiated one, went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until they got sick of her and agreed. And she got it done, and she got a ceasefire done. Kerry, by the way, it's the Kerry people that are talking about, how she really didn't keep to the policies on the emails and all that, even though Colin Powell and Condi Rice and everybody else had private emails. But, there's some jealousy from Kerry and the Kerry staff, which is how some of this stuff is coming out. That's another story that hasn't happened yet.
Right. Well, I mean, it's amazing how Democrats seem to eat their own. And this is another example.
The jealousy of Kerry against anybody is amazing.
Well, he can't say anything. He blew 2004. There's no reason he should have lost that.
Rick, I was in the parking lot with him when he first announced right as he was going to announce for president. I had worked in Massachusetts 30 years earlier for Lois Pines, who announced 3 months before he did for lieutenant governor, even though Kerry was a friend, but I didn't know he was going to run. But I gave my word to Lois Pines I was going to help her for lieutenant governor. And Kerry said to me, when I said to him, I'd really like to help him run for president, he said, well, you did work for Lois Pines. That was 30 years earlier. And after the race, I had a party at my house with a picture with him. That's how petty the guy is. We had a healing party picture at my house, that proves that we were supportive and friends and all that. I mean, I wanted to make it up to him, but that isn't what he remembered. He remembered you did work for Lois Pines.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, you're dealing with people with huge egos.
That's right.
It doesn't matter. I don't care what office you hold. You're talking about people with huge egos.
Right.
So let me ask you this. Let's get back to the race, because today, West Virginia, Nebraska, obviously.
I think Hillary's going to lose.
Of course she's going to lose. In fact, I think she's going to lose 8 of the next 9 primaries that are popping up.
Well, she's starting to realize, and she's putting some money in Kentucky, and she's starting to put some money into ads. I mean, she was taking them for granted, and now she's got to divert. That's one thing that Bernie isn't helping with. She's got to divert into fighting to make sure she has some credibility in this last round.
But at the end of the day, I mean, whatever Bernie's doing to her is nothing compared to what Trump is going to do this summer.
Right. And she's got to be big, bold, and fight back. She's got to point out, as you and I were talking, she's got to point out that the stuff he's talking about on womanizing, you are going to, she should say, you, above all, are going to talk about that with all the wives you've had and the bankruptcies that you've used to cheat your wives from alimony? You?
It's a good point. But what do you say to those, Bob, who say she should be above the fray and be presidential? Because this is just reality TV show kind of nonsense. Be better than that. Be presidential. What do you say to that argument?
I say, look at the 16 people that Trump nailed by them trying to be above the fray and be substantive and issue-driven.
Yeah, but look at those 16. Whoa, Bob, stop. Look at those 16. None of them, in my view, were anything close to presidential or on any of the issues. They are in a lower category than Hillary.
You don't think on the Republican side that Kasich or Rubio or any of those people, senators and governors, you don't think any of those guys?
I didn't. I honestly didn't.
I mean, obviously, I disagree with the philosophy of every one of them. Even Kasich pretending to be a liberal when he defunded Planned Parenthood and did the abortion stuff in his state and all of that. Every one of them was a right-wing nut. But we can disagree. But in terms of their side of the fence, they had high politics people as senators and governors that he wiped out by being nasty.
So you're advocating for Hillary to roll up the sleeves and get equally deep into the mud.
Not the mud, but she's got to be substantive, like I said. You, Donald, with your 4 wives and your 4 bankruptcies and cheating your wives by using bankruptcies against them in court, and their court documents to show the dates of the before and after when you said you were bankrupt and then right after you said you're making tons of money. You, Donald, have the gall to accuse me when I have a one-marriage life and it's still going on and it's still successful and we have a highly successful daughter, you have the gall? I mean, who wins that argument?
And that's a good question. I mean, and that's something that at some point she's going to have to do. But at the end of the day, I get back to this narrative thing and exciting the base. Look, a lot of people that I know, okay, Hillary could probably be the nominee. I just don't see that kind of excitement, especially when you look at the younger generation. And you're somebody who's got some experience on how to rile up the younger generation. You were in charge of that at one point. Does she have the ability to rile up the Sanders folks that they'll come out?
That's an excellent question, and I hope our listeners will go to our piece of Politicians Need to Find a Way to Reach Millennials, which was just named the number 4 op-ed in the country. We had it in the New Jersey Herald, and it was named by Op-Ed News as number 4 in the country. Absolutely right. I was the youth vote director in 1972. That was a life-and-death situation, Rick, where the Vietnam War, and to this day I challenge anybody to say what was the reason we went in there and what were we accomplishing. I can't figure it out. Kids knew they were going to die for this non-defined reason war. And so we had a draft. We don't have that anymore. So there's no motive. There's no life and death of reason. And you remember our generation basically got Lyndon Johnson to withdraw from the race. And great, we got Richard Nixon as a result. But, so I'm not sure we knew what we were doing.
Right.
But we had some impact. We had enormous impact, and we had the highest vote turnout ever. 55% of young people voted. It hasn't been quite as close. Clinton or Obama, they were 52s, 53s, and so it's never been as high because we haven't had life and death. Now what you've got is student tuition. Well, Hillary's saying I'll reduce your loan by a few percent. Bernie's saying I'll give free public university colleges. That's not everywhere else that kids go, by the way. That's just public university.
But here's the thing, Bob. We used to have something like that back in the day. I mean, I know people who paid very little to go through public schools.
We all did. I mean, it would cost next to nothing to go to college. I remember it. Now it's $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and it was $3,000 to $5,000 when I went to school. It was next to nothing.
Right.
And so I don't understand how we've allowed as a country, the reality is allowing the colleges to have that kind of a markup.
Well, I know how it happened. We created the largest billionaire class in the history of civilization by cutting tax rates so drastically that we had to shift the responsibility of paying for education onto those least able to afford it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that all has to change, and that kind of big thinking is exactly what we have to do something about. But telling kids we're going to reduce your interest rates by a couple percent is not the answer.
Too technical.
It's got to be bigger than that.
So you're advocating for her to pick up some of, because Trump says he's going to pick up some of Bernie's rhetoric and some of Bernie's attacks on Hillary. She's going to have to pick up some of Bernie's talking points and some of his vision, right?
Absolutely right. And she's got to talk about the health big bill now is a step toward full national health insurance. And how I want to go there, she's got to say. I don't understand how you don't say that. The insurance companies have bought this thing right and left, and that's why the bill got compromised to go where it is, because we couldn't get 60 votes because of Baucus, a Democrat in the Senate, chairman of the Finance Committee, and he was bought and sold by the insurance industry, so we couldn't get the 60 votes.
Yeah, good old Max backdoor us. Yeah, I remember that well. But here's the thing. Let's say she does all that.
But he's not there anymore. So if we do pick up a landslide election, she's got to say that's a way that we can get to full national health insurance, that we can get to really dramatically reducing kids' costs in colleges.
Wow, you're optimistic. I'm not thinking landslide.
But you got to at least think big and talk like you have a plan.
I got you, but I'm not seeing landslide. But okay, let's say it's a huge landslide. Do people buy what she's saying then when she says, I want national health care and I want all these things, when for years she's been saying she doesn't?
Well, actually, she was the creator of Hillary Care, which had the public option.
I remember.
And you remember that was part of the race. I did a piece on that. Hillary had the real health care plan. Obama had the one where he said he didn't want public option. He said that.
I know.
And then he was kind of willing to accept it when it passed the House, and then in the Senate, Baucus blocked it, and we didn't get it. So Obama was the compromise. People don't realize that Hillary was the liberal and Obama was the compromiser on health care. She wants it. And then as a backup, she did a CHIP plan and got 8 million kids free health care. So she did get something out of that. And there's some facts here that are useful.
Right.
And
No, I'm
Terry
with you.
McAuliffe
Look, I give her
reminded
credit
me
for that.
That, yes, you made a point of the fact that Hillary had the real health plan in the original Obama-Hillary race.
I'm with you, and there's she's got to get that out. But at the
does.
end of the day, I think it's still got to be. She's going to have to roll up the sleeves and get into that fist fight because it's not going to be about it. I think Mark Cuban is right. It's not about issues.
But here's the other thing. It's way too early now. So you can't use your best ammunition now. Trump is kind of using the best stuff he's got. I mean, you can't go deeper and dirtier than going into Bill Clinton's sex life.
Oh, I think he's going
to. He's using his stuff now. There's no reason for Hillary to go there now.
Right.
Let her. You changed in the debates. You changed the dynamic by 15 points when you have good sound bites. That's what happens in the debates. There's going to be 3 of them.
Oh yeah, I mean,
my counsel would not be to use your best stuff now. Now is a good time to put your platforms out, which is what she's doing. And she say, I'm not going to get into debating him. I'm going to put my platform, my substance, and the issues out. That's what she's saying. I think that, Rick, that's kind of the right strategy for this timing. And Trump may be making a fatal mistake by putting it all out there now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's who Trump is. The reality, in my view, is what comes to his mind comes out his mouth.
But he's not getting Hillary to drop out by attacking her. He did that to everybody else, but the dynamic was in a Republican primary. They were withering. Hillary's not dropping out. She's the nominee, and so that's got to be held for the general election, and he's not doing it.
Yeah, well, we will see. And as it goes on, we're going to have you back to talk about that and all the other things to keep us informed as to the strategy, the ins, the outs, the moves, all of that stuff. Bob, always great talking with you.
You too, Rick. It's great to be with you.
All righty, good stuff. You want to check out the website? We've got a link at thericksmithshow.com. Just click on Bob Weiner's name. Take you right there. Quick break, right back after this. Stick around. You're listening to The Rick Smith Show. We're working people. Come to talk.
We want the world and we want it now. We're going to take it anyhow. We want the airwaves.
Not right wing, just right. The Rick Smith Show.